I have a soon-to-be 17-year-old cat that has been with me basically my whole life. She was there for me when nobody else was. When my grandmother died, my dog died, my parents divorced, and when I was raped and got pregnant with triplets. She has been my best friend through all of it. So yesterday I got home to see a child outside of my house, and then I see him pulling on my cat's tail. It wasn't just small pulls either. My cat was screaming at the top of her lungs. I immediately ran over and took the kid by his collar, slapped him, and then told him that if he ever comes back, I'll beat him half to death. I know that threat was a bit massive, but my cat means way more to me than some stupid kid who can't treat animals properly. Today, his mother came over threatening to call the cops. Apparently, it was child abuse. But something that troubles me is that I'm 18 and I have triplets. I'm a single parent and my children behave way better than that spoiled brat. He's even 1 year older than my children and has no siblings, so he should have been raised better. Basically, his mother made the excusing that he's just a child, which is bullshit. Many children can behave properly towards animals, but her child is just the devil, to be honest. I honestly don't think I overreacted because her son is scared to go anywhere close to my house now, and that means my cat is safe from that awful child. However, some of my friends keep saying that it's just a cat and I shouldn't have reacted so harshly. Am I the asshole for slapping and threatening a 6-year-old for pulling my cat's tail? I'm 32 and have been with my fiance for 5 years. We were supposed to get married last August, but made the tough decision to postpone our big day until August 2022 because a lot of our older family members had expressed concerns with flying and being around a crowd of people. I met him at work. We were both hairstylists at a higher end salon. It's not really a creative environment. Occasionally you'll get someone who wants rainbow hair, but other than that, it's very generic colors and cuts. Like 9 months ago, he told me he was feeling really depressed and stagnant at work and wanted to quit and work in a more creative environment. I supported him and he started working at a new salon within a month. Literally everyone who works there is in their early to mid 20s besides him. He was instantly so much happier and within a few weeks he expressed a desire to start trying for a family and wanted me to come off the pill. I told him I thought it would be better to wait a little while, preferably after the wedding, because he wasn't bringing in the same money he used to. Some of his clients followed him, but the majority didn't, so his book/money was cut in half. His birthday is in May and he brought up trying again and how he's in a good place at work and the timing's right. I agreed to come off birth control and not really trying to prevent it or thinking it would take months to get pregnant. I got pregnant in June, 20 weeks and 4 days, and we're both excited for the next chapter of our lives together. In July, he changes his hours and starts working more. He tells me it's because he wants to be able to have money set aside for the baby because I won't be working for 6 to 8 weeks after birth. I thought it was sweet that he was trying to provide for the baby. 2 weeks ago, he sits me down crying and telling me that he effed up. I'm thinking that he got fired, but it turns out he cheated on me with his 20-year-old apprentice that's under him. I was in complete shock. He told me that it's been going on since he found out I was pregnant because all of a sudden things got real and he couldn't handle it. I told him I couldn't deal with all of this now and that he needed to get out and stay with friends or family. He's been calling and texting me nonstop and apologizing, wanting to work on things, but he won't quit. I don't trust him and I don't think I can unless he leaves his job and isn't around her all the time. I've talked to my therapist about this and I really don't know what the right answer is here. I'm not pissed, I'm hurt. He's going to be in my life forever one way or another. I told him that I'm 99% sure this is something that I can't get over. Him not being involved is not an option. I would never be that cruel. He'll be a great father and he's so good with kids. However, I don't know what to do and any advice would be great. My mother-in-law and I have never gotten along. She hates my guts and can be oversensitive oftentimes. I tried not to give her the wrong impression about me, but we just don't like each other. I'm a new mom and on Sunday I was feeling sick. I couldn't eat what she cooked for dinner and she seemed to take it personally. She sent me a private message of what seemed to be her final straw with my behavior and it stated the following. "Oh yes, I know and feel your passive-aggressive vibe. You keep pretending to be sick so you won't have to eat what I cook. What? You think my cooking is disgusting? Do you think I'm unhygienic? When was the last time you actually looked at yourself in the mirror? Apologies, I forgot you're a new mom and can't be bothered to even get your hair brushed. You finally trapped our son and now want to use the baby as a pawn. I don't like the fact that you're my grandchild's mother. I don't think I'll ever come to terms with it because you bore him. However, I'll pretend. Pretend that I don't know that my son's been having chats with his ex every chance he gets. Go ahead and be mean to his mommy, me, and you'll see how far that gets you. Oh, and when I watch your shit-beast dog, it stays chained to a garage day and night until half an hour before you arrive. It stinks at my house. You know, the same with your hair and clothes." My mind was blown and my gut reaction was to immediately go to my husband and show him what his mom had sent me. He didn't take it well. He tried calling her, but she didn't respond. It was 11 p.m. and he decided to drive to his parents' house and pick a fight with her about the text. According to my sister-in-law number 1, who witnessed it, he yelled at his mother, berated her, and called her names, then disowned her, which shocked everyone in the house. My mother-in-law is diabetic and she fainted on the spot, but my husband didn't stop and he just walked out of there while his family were yelling at him. After that, I got several calls and texts from them claiming I just caused irreparable damage to my husband's relationship with his mother, jeopardized her health because she was taken to the hospital, and worst of all, making my husband disown her over what? A dinner I could have easily taken a few bites of? They accused me of causing this shit show and turning my husband on his own mother and disowning her like that. My sister-in-law number 3 berated me for sharing the text with my husband, saying I should have confronted my mother-in-law alone instead of escalating the situation. She said I'm responsible for whatever happens next and I have to fix the problem that I created. I feel awful overall and so guilty since she's in the hospital. My husband is currently avoiding me. Am I the asshole for showing my husband the text that his mom sent me and causing her to be disowned? My daughter is 14 and a freshman in high school. She came home one day after being at her mother's for a week. We split custody and wrote homecoming on her calendar. She starts talking about all the plans she's made with her best friend to go to homecoming together. Homecoming happened to fall on the week that she was with me. She starts raving to my wife and I about the dress her mom took her to buy and that she's matching with her friend. She had even bought the ticket already. I was furious with her entitlement to just make all these plans without asking me first. I can admit it's not just her fault, but her mother's as well for not clearing it with me before buying the dress and ticket. In fact, I wouldn't put it past her and her mother to have bought the dress and ticket before asking in order to force me into letting her go. I want to teach her a lesson about asking first and not assuming that I'm just going to let her do whatever she wants and that she can't manipulate people in order to get her way. So I told her that if she asked first, I would have been happy to let her go to homecoming dance. But since she decided to make the plans and buy the stuff before even asking if she could go, I wasn't going to let her. She cried and told me that you only get one freshman homecoming, and I told her that maybe she should have thought about that. I said all homecomings are the same anyway. She has 3 more opportunities to go and she's not missing much. She sulked in her room for the rest of the day and didn't talk much. I tried to comfort her, but my wife said not to because I'd be teaching her that I'll give her my attention if she acts upset and cries. I went to comfort her anyway because I didn't think she was acting, but she rejected me. That infuriated me even more, so I left her in her room alone to cry. Her mother was furious when she found out and demanded that I pay her back the money that she spent on the dress and homecoming ticket. I said absolutely not because she didn't clear it with me before buying those things, so it's her own fault. She contacted her attorney who contacted mine, and long story short, I got to sit down with my wife and our family therapist for a painstaking conversation about communication. It's now long after homecoming and my daughter is pretty much back to normal, but she's still angry with me for not letting her go to that dance. Am I the asshole for not letting my daughter go to her homecoming dance? Story time about when I accidentally almost killed a one-night stand. I got out of a bad relationship a few months ago and it only recently felt good enough to get out of the house again. This was my first ever boyfriend and he turned out to be a piece of crap, so I was obviously a bit hesitant. However, some old friends from high school were visiting my town and asked if I wanted to go on a bar crawl with them. I figured screw it, it's not like anything will happen other than getting drunk with some pals, so why not? At the first bar, we ran into a group of guys from my university. I had seen some of them around but never spoke to them before. One of my friends decides she's going to force me to get out of my shell and drags our group over to talk to them. I'm extremely quiet, like weirdly quiet to most people, so I end up sitting in the corner of our booth and not saying anything, just drinking and feeling awkward, while one of the guys in the other group, Adam, is also being really quiet. My friends and his friends, who are already tipsy, decide to make things as awkward as possible by making us play truth or dare, except we have to drink when we don't want to answer something. There were a lot of personal and sexual questions neither of us want to answer, so we end up drinking quite a bit. By the time we're done at the first bar, Adam and I are on a whole different plane of existence from everyone else. It turned out that we had a lot in common. He was pretty cute and we're goofing around and laughing the whole time. I started getting butterflies in my stomach, and it wasn't just from the alcohol. Adam had my exact sense of humor and is really sweet and kind. We wander off and start having deep, drunk conversations about feeling left out of things and how annoying it is when people say shit like, "Can they speak?" I tell him I'm walking home and he offers to walk with me. I know where this is going, but I'm drunk enough that I don't feel nervous, plus I feel like I have a genuine connection with this guy. Our friends are wolf whistling as we leave, and instead of being embarrassed, I feel weirdly proud. So we get to my place, talk and smoke for a bit, and do the deed. I wake up earlier than him and decide that I'm going to make a nice breakfast. I want to impress him and show him that I like him, and everyone likes a good breakfast when they have a hangover, right? I sneak out of bed and make scrambled eggs, French toast, and sausage. I prefer almond milk, so I use that for the eggs and the French toast. He wakes up and tells me I look just as cute sober. At this point, I'm convinced he's the love of my life. He sees the breakfast and gets excited, and I'm like, yes, my plan worked. I'm going to get to his heart through his stomach. We eat, and everything's going great for a few bites. Then he makes a weird face and clears his throat. His eyes start to widen and he asks me if there were any nuts in the bread or something. I say no, but I use almond milk. He jumps out of his chair and says, "Call an ambulance right now." I'm freaking the fuck out. He's wheezing and stuff and looks absolutely panicked. I ask if he has an EpiPen and he shakes his head no. So I call an ambulance and tell them that he's having an allergic reaction and the paramedics come to haul him off. I haven't heard back from him since. I found his buddy and confirmed that he's not dead. I guess accidentally triggering a severe allergic reaction does not lead to romance. I'm a male, 33 and white from Ukraine. My wife is 22, black from Tanzania. When we met, she used to wear wigs and braid her hair, but we moved to Ukraine and she couldn't find people to braid her hair, so she started to grow out an afro. I love it on her and I think she looks gorgeous. The issue at hand is my family sort of distanced themselves from me when I married her. So when my sister invited me to her wedding, I was excited. My wife and I Skyped her to thank her, and she texted and asked if I could tell my wife to straighten her hair or tame it because she didn't want her hair to take the attention. I told my wife and she sulked for a week and I thought it was over. I then ordered her a nice, expensive blonde wig which arrived a few days ago. She hasn't spoken to me since. She berated me when it arrived and told me that it's her hair and she can't do anything about it, but I said that she could and it's also just for one day. She told me that I should go alone, but I can't. She is my wife and she needs to be with me. My sister threatened to uninvite us if my wife doesn't fix her hair and my wife doesn't understand that I need my family. She's ruining all the chances I have at reconciliation. I'm not racist and neither is my sister. We just grew up in a community that wasn't exposed to black people. My sister is blonde and so are 75% of the women at the wedding, and that's normal to us. It's been 3 years since I've seen my family and I don't want the first thing they talk about it to be my wife's hair. I feel like my wife is being ungrateful. Am I the asshole for asking my wife to change her hair? I'm 28 and work at a small local sports bar. I have a coworker 25 named Amanda. She started dating one of our regulars, Nick, about 2 years ago. After a few months, she got pregnant and they got engaged pretty quickly after that. The baby is now 6 months old and Amanda has 2 other kids, a 5-year-old and 3-year-old, both from different fathers as well. Nick was planning to adopt both of them after the wedding, as both of their dads basically refused to be in the picture and are willing to give up parental rights. Amanda and Nick were supposed to be getting married in 2 weeks. However, about a week ago, Nick came in on one of my bar shifts and he seemed really down. I didn't pry, but I made friendly small talk, and after a few beers, he told me an alarming confession. One of our other regulars, Adam, reached reached out to Nick on social media. Apparently, Adam and Amanda have been messing around at the same time that she and Nick were dating. Amanda ghosted him just before announcing her engagement. Basically, Adam wanted Nick to be aware that the baby may not be his before going through with the wedding and the adoption. I was stunned, and I told Nick that Adam is a bit unstable to begin with and might be lying out of jealousy, as he'd always had a thing for Amanda. I asked if he confronted Amanda, and he said no, and told me that he was at a loss as to what to do. I basically said he had two choices: either he loves Amanda and the baby enough not to care, or if he needed to know for sure, an answer was a paternity test away. Well, he went with the paternity test, and guess who was not the father? After getting the results and confronting Amanda, Nick called off the wedding. According to another regular who was close to Nick, Amanda admitted to knowing the whole time, but went along with the baby being Nick's because he's financially stable and she knew that he'd do the right thing and marry her. Word about the conversation between Nick and I got around, and Amanda has been texting me about how I ruined her life and I had no business butting in. She claims that if I hadn't suggested a paternity test, Nick never would have gotten one, and she'd have a husband and a father for her kids. I feel like she might be right. I absolutely could have minded my own business and told Nick that I had no advice for him. Being a single mother myself, I feel bad that she'll be struggling with 3 small children on her own. Am I the asshole because my coworker's wedding got called off? Storytime about the pettiest work-related thing I've done. About 3 years ago, I used to work as a videographer doing social media content for a 7-figure company. I was paid roughly just better than minimum wage, and I was cranking out, at one point, 50 videos a day. I was freelancing and I was on a loose contract. I was desperate for the money. It was an insane amount of work, and however I managed to do it for 6 months is beyond me, especially for how shitty I was paid. The office was an incredibly bitter and snide place. It was clear that management would purposely stir shit to watch staff fight as a form of entertainment. I kept well away from it, but it was incredibly stressful on top of the video work. After about 6 months, I pitched to the higher-ups that my videos are making an insanely positive difference to their sales. I showed them graphs of interactions and direct links to sales on the website via my content. I compared my ideal salary to others in the industry and made a big deal about how it would still be less than what I should be paid. However, I still wanted to continue working for them. I was fired hours later for, I shit you not pulling my weight, as well as not having the desired effect they want on social media. I was fuming and now unemployed. I struggled for months to find any other job. Today, years later, whilst browsing a very old Google Drive account, I found that said company was still using a folder I created and owned. They were mostly active in files containing templates, adjustment layers, presets, and even all the videos that I created. Over 18 people were actively using it daily to continue with their social media campaigns. This was a cloud service that I was paying monthly for as I wanted extra space for my work. This was my drive and my work. I own it. So I copied the file as a local version for myself and then deleted the online version. Tomorrow they'll wake up with none of their video assets, including all the things they were working on. Screw them.
What do you do on those days that you don't feel that confident or fearless or powerful like you did out there?
Pretend.
Fake it?
Yeah.
Until we make it?
I mean, why not? It's either that or cry myself to sleep. Who wants to do that?
I'm 32 and I've been married to my husband, 39, for 4 years. I work a full-time job while he does a 3 times a week night shift. We have a 2-year-old and I'm 6 months pregnant. My husband has a large family, and on every Christmas they gather at his father's house. My father-in-law passed away a year ago, and this year my husband decided as the man of the family to host Christmas at our house. Unbeknownst to me, he signed on invitations for a 5-day Christmas celebration to his entire family, which are about 26 members in total. I found out by accident and I was too shocked to react. I confronted him on it and he said I shouldn't be surprised and just get used to it because after his father's death, he's now the family's head and all major family events will be held in our house and in his presence. I freaked out and said no, this is wrong and he should have talked to me first before sending out any invitations to his family, knowing I have other commitments like work and taking care of the house and our son. He said we'll manage if I took time off of work, but that means more workload later and it would take away from my maternity leave. I demanded he cancel the invitations, but he refused, saying over my dead body, and then walked out. I ended up sending a mass text to everyone who received an invitation explaining that we will not be hosting Christmas this year. He found out and went off on me, calling my behavior outrageously appalling and said that I broke his word to his family and made it
lying. Then I saw you sitting over there. It's been a couple years. Hey, what's up with you tonight? Perdí mi número, puedo tener el tuyo. So then, cause you see, it should have been you, should have been me, it should have been us for life. Should have been us for life. Oh, I know, it should have been us for life. Oh, should have been us for life. Oh, I know, it should have been us for life.